Right, sorry about that big sniff. Let's have a look then, shall we? We'll begin the live stream. And just be one brief minute and we'll begin. So clearly we're most interested in what's going on with Bitcoin, but as Bitcoin moves, lots of other alts are moving. So I personally have got a keen vested interest in several of these: Ethereum, BNB, and even XRP, actually, to name a few. These are the coins that I am currently invested in, and I'm very keen to see how they're moving. So I'll just load these up for the moment. And obviously, if you want to know more, if you want to ask me to have a look at some coins, I'm very happy to do that for you. But for the moment, we'll just start on these ones then, shall we? So Bitcoin, to me, this is what we've been seeing recently. After this continuation of after the move that we broke out of this descending trend that we've been waiting to break out of, so like an actual proper break, not like this silly thing. This is kind of what we've been waiting to happen all this time. So it happened. We found significant rejection from this level. But that's fine, because that was a giant move from top to bottom over the space of a week. That was a giant move. So to be rejected from there, that's fine. The top of this cloud is where it was rejected from, or the green 50, you could say. But what we're also looking at after that was a rejection after this one, which is the 34 exponential moving average. We got rejected from there. A very heavy rejection from there. You could class this one yesterday as a bit of a rejection from there, but the thing that started to get me interested in Bitcoin again, and the market in general, is this little thing here that happened, which doesn't look like much, but this to me suggests that perhaps maybe the bottom is in. It doesn't mean that we can't drop down again, but it would to me, it sounds like this looks like a reversal has if not already begun, is about to begin. This is a conversion over the baseline cross. This happens quite infrequently, and for it to happen already at this level now means that we probably have had the bottom in at this level now, which is a shame, because I didn't buy there. My fingers were on the trigger, but I didn't buy there. So what this basically means is that we're looking for a continuation from this direction, and for us to already have a cross after just a little bit of a move is quite, wow, it's quite impressive, but it might be a bit misleading, but it has happened, so I'm going to go with it, alright, because usually these crosses are quite good. They're much better on larger, longer time frames, and we have had one in a negative sense of the cross back here on the weekly, which would suggest a continuation of the move down. Now, when you look at it on the weekly, it's a lot better, a lot easier to go with this, because we had a cross here which meant a continuation of the move down, we had a cross here which meant a continuation of the move up, and we had a cross here which meant a continuation of the move down. But obviously that's a weekly, it's a lot better way to use it than a daily, but a daily does hold some relevance, but not quite as good as the weekly, which is a lot better. So let's have a look at some of these alts then, shall we? And the only reason I see that you're telling me that XRP is trash, it's definitely an underperformer. I'm not like crazy about XRP. I just thought that I'd buy a load, considering it came down under 20 cents. So I actually have bought quite, well, I say quite a lot. I mean, it's quite a modest amount that I've collected now, and I don't intend to buy any more. So I appreciate what you're saying there, mate. It is pretty trashy, it's pretty crap. But, you know, it's a large cap coin. It was going very cheap, so I thought I'd pick some up. But it's not by any means my a large bag. It's like just short of 20,000. So obviously, if it goes to anywhere close to where it was at its peak, I'll be happy with that. But again, it's not my main bag. It's not my main bag at all. The ones that I'm most interested in are these two. XRP and not XRP, Ethereum, and Binance coin. Binance coin took a real big hit alongside all others, but if you were to see where it was for the year, it's still actually up quite significantly for the year, all the way back down here this time last year, and even at our biggest dump, we've come down to this level, which is pretty good. I'd have to say it's pretty good going. So I have pretty much high expectations for this to continue, to make all-time highs like Bitcoin, and probably significantly more. That's why I'm quite heavily invested in BNB. At the end of the day, Binance is an enormous, huge exchange, so you know, there are perks to holding it. There's definitely a lot of reasons why it could collapse, regulatory reasons, but for me it's definitely worth the gamble. I think this one's going to do very well, so I like to pour a lot of my money, my alt money, into that, but not anywhere near as much as I do with Ethereum. Ethereum is my biggest altcoin holding at the moment. After I sold Matic, this is the one that I'm basically looking to hold the most of. So let's have a look at these charts then, shall we? And again, if there's any other charts that you want me to look at, I'm very happy to do that. I'll stare at some other alts for you, no problem at all. We will look at Matic, I promise. We'll look at Matic in just a minute. This is my first time looking at this for a while, so we don't have that. As we have had this with Bitcoin, we haven't had that with. We haven't had that with any of these guys. In fact, the closest one that we've got to having, and it doesn't count until it happens, the closest one actually until is actually XRP. Binance Coin and Ethereum don't have anything like that at all. And the charts in themselves are actually pretty bearish on the daily, so there's nothing on these charts that suggests anything other than bearish moves, really. Binance Coin is, I'm looking at it on the weekly there. Binance Coin, actually Binance Coin is looking pretty good. We do look like we have an incoming conversion over the baseline cross, so that could be pretty good. I didn't realise, actually, I was looking at the weekly. So yeah, actually, this one doesn't look too bad. This one, again, we have to wait for these crosses to take place, and then after that, what we really want to see is the complete inverse of what's going on with these moving averages, and we need to get above this cloud. The dodgy thing is that this cloud has an incoming resistance level, which is basically descending quite steeply, so we kind of have to have some kind of continuation of these moves now, because if we can hang along for another three or 4 weeks by now, it'll be harder for a continuation to take place. So we are kind of looking for a pump now, but it all revolves around Bitcoin. And Bitcoin has now broken above the 34 EMA, which is where we were being rejected from for the majority of the last week. The big test now is going to get to the top of the Bollinger Band, where it also coincides with this big red cloud and the 50 exponential, and also the 50 simple is also there. So we've got all these things converging at this level here, which is just short of 7,600. 7,600 is basically going to be a really difficult area to break, because basically we've got so many resistance levels converging at one place, so really heavily reinforced at that point. But it doesn't mean it can't be broken, but it doesn't look like it's very likely. It looks like a decent resistance, probably find a rejection from there, and then we'll have to see how far we come down. Now obviously we could break straight through that and come up to this level here, just short of 8,000, where the 200 exponential is, and if we break above there, then there's a really good chance that a continuation is going to is basically in the bag. There's no reason actually at that point why we can't say that actually Bitcoin's gone bullish again. But what we don't want to see is we don't want to see everybody get too overexcited and cause things like this, because what's basically happened on this occasion, there was way too much excitement with Bitcoin. It went absolutely completely bananas, hugely over leveraged, and so many people buying it, and we've ended up having to consolidate to the point of considering that there was a bear trend going on, almost like a bear market, which isn't completely over at the moment. I'm like I say, I'm seeing the first signs of reversal here, but it doesn't mean that it is a reversal. It could quite easily just be a big fake out again, because we get those quite frequently. So, the main thing is the fact that we've had this cross, and the fact that we broke out of this descending trend. All of those together has made me think that actually there might be something to it this time. This one I wasn't excited about at all when I saw it come back beneath here and we saw this kind of move, but this one does look very different to me, and like I say, I mean it's going to take a bit of time, but yeah, this is different. It's definitely different, and there is a chance now, a relatively good chance, that this is now the beginning of an actual reversal. Right, so let's have a look at then. So everyone wants me to look at Matic, so I suppose it would be rude not to. Let's have a look at Matic then for you. Don't get your hopes up, guys, because I do look at this, because I do love Matic, and I appreciate if you're one of my subscribers, you've probably been following the whole Matic journey with me for quite a while. But I think for the moment the journey is at an end. So here we go. So Matic with tether value. So what's happening here is we're fading away ever so slowly. We're fading away. The Bollinger Bands are tightening up now, which means that we're going to have a smaller trading range for a small period of time anyway. But the concerning thing is this descending green 50, which will eventually cross beneath this 200 exponential. And that would basically mean a death cross. We've never had a death cross on a daily chart of Matic because it's too young of a chart to have ever had one in the past. But considering how we reacted with the golden cross, which was extremely bullish, it would be fair to assume that a death cross with Matic will be quite bearish. Pretty nasty, in fact. I mean, there's nothing to say that we won't avoid this, because Matic does like to make big surprise moves out of nowhere. But for the way it's going and what I expect to see, I expect to see that this level here, where we reversed, well, we bounced basically for the first time, and essentially bounced to the second time. I do expect these to be touched again at some point, reasonably soon, within a few months probably. This is a very slow incoming death cross, so we can do a rough measure move. Very rough, and this is only attributing it to its current trajectory. And let's have a look. So that would have to coincide there. So we're talking. Actually, it's not that long away actually at all. It'd be about the 1st to maybe the 2nd week of January this death cross would have begun if we haven't started to make higher moves from this level. And it'd have to be relatively high. We'd really need to start boosting above this level here, 1.8 cent, to avoid that death cross. We could obviously go lower, which would make this steeper and faster. But it did say 6th of January, and that is likely to kick in, that death cross anyway. So 6th of January could be the absolute be all and end all of Matic. Currently at 200 sats, and it's likely to be getting its sats drained away from it if Bitcoin decides it wants to go bullish, which it looks like it wants to. So if that goes bullish, Matic's not going to be able to catch up. It's still, I guess you could say, consolidating after this massive rejection, massive sell-off. So yeah, I mean, it's not looking good. 6th of January, I would just wait really. I'd basically just wait this out. I wouldn't want to buy any of this now, even if it did make a pump, even if it tried to get back up to 2 cent again. It's likely to be rejected and come back down. It's looking very weak, basically. And a lot of these indicators I use at this point now aren't going to give me a decent signal anyway. All they're going to tell me is if the apocalypse is about to begin or not. Currently, you don't need me to tell you that this looks like a scary chart. You don't want to touch it, really. We're pretty much where we were when we were, well, at some points we were higher than this, even in our accumulation phase. So this isn't really a place to be buying it. The fact that the Bollinger Bands are now creeping in and getting closer to each other is good, because it'll give us a more realistic range to guess chart this out to. But personally, I'd leave this the hell alone, because what date are we now? The 29th, so we've got about 10 days now before this death cross kicks in, and then you could safely assume that we'll be back down to this level, 1.123 cent, or maybe even as low as 1 cent, or perhaps making a brand new low. Obviously not as low as this. I'll be very surprised if we ever got down there ever again, but to revisit these lows of just below 1 cent or 1 cent on the dot, yeah, that's quite reasonable to assume that. What else are we looking at then? You want me to have a quick peep at T-Rex? That's alright, I can have a look at T-Rex for you. I saw on Twitter, not that I use Twitter for much, I saw on Twitter that there was a bit of a pump because Binance and what's his face, Justin Sun, are in cahoots with each other, aren't they? They had some tweet, I can't remember exactly what it was, but as soon as I read it I was like, right. An official pump started through social media, which basically pumped and dumped. I don't trade this. I don't like all this this just in some business. I think it's really dodgy. there's always money to be made in pumps and dumps and blah blah blah, but I've come to learn that I don't trust him, nor do I really trust Binance. Really, I think Binance is a relatively it's a good exchange. I'm not going to dispute that, but those guys are well aware of their power and influence over the market, and I think they're clearly mates, those two, and something about this I just don't trust. It does do big moves and it just comes straight back down. It's unable to sustain any value. But anyway, that's just my theory. Let's have a look at the chart, and I'll remain impartial to all of that. So let's have a look then, shall we? Right, so we do have a conversion baseline cross, which suggests continuation like what we've had with Bitcoin. The fact that we had this big pump up to this level here, let's measure that actually. That looks quite big. I don't know how big that actually is. Yeah, it's quite big, almost 13%, and then straight back down again to actually a lot lower when it came back down. 15.5% dump. So I mean, it's those sort of things that would just make me not like this coin. But what we do have is we do have this cross. And because we've got the cross, it would suggest, and again, this is only going on what TA you can use on something like this. Where we look, I mean, it's messy. This is really messy chart. It does not look good. It's really horrible to look at actually. There's no consistency to it at all. It's all over the place. So it doesn't look good. It looks like basically anything could happen. But that said, we do have that conversion baseline cross there, which might suggest continuation. The levels that we were dumping down to here were historical lows, so 1.2 cent we touched there quite a few times back a year ago, in fact. Before we launched, we touched it here, we revisited it only just recently, so there is a chance actually that the bottom again is in for this one, and there would be continuation. But with the whole Bitcoin market reversing, like I say, it might not have reversed by now. It could still be looking for another massive correction, because there's as bullish as I'd like to be on Bitcoin, and these indicators again, and like I say, are the very first little tasters of the fact that there could be a reversal. It doesn't necessarily mean that there is. We could come back down under this trend again, quite easily in fact, and revisit these lows, and if this gets broken, then actually it gets pretty bearish and we'll be into this second zone here. This second zone is where I had my last stand for Bitcoin, where I thought if we came, this would be the lowest level it would likely to be hitting, which would be around 4,900. If we ever got down that low, it would be time to go all in, no questions asked, because to me that would have been the absolute bottom. So there is a chance that we could come down to that level. There's no reason why we can't. Like I say, the indicators I'm using would suggest that there is quite significant reasons to think that actually the bottom might be in now, but it doesn't mean that the bottom is actually in. Indicators aren't everything, and they are something, but they're not everything. And again, that would be certainly true with a coin like this, that's as volatile and as choppy and as disorganized as this one. Just look at the state of that. I mean, it's like a bed of nails. It's awful. When you look at Bitcoin, at least there's some kind of direction to it, and there's a little bit of consistency to the way where it moves and where it bounces and things like that. When you look at T-Rex, it's absolutely horrendous. It's all over the place. So I would say that yes, there has been there is an indicator there that I would generally go by to suggest that we are going to have continuation of that specific direction. But with this coin, personally, I don't like the look of it. Don't like the state of it. Right, let's have a look at some other one. Tomo chain. Oh, I remember. Yeah, I looked at this not long ago actually, because this did some really big moves. Tomo. I assume this is what you're referring to. It looks like it's dumped quite hard, but it did do some massive moves. Yeah, it's dumping really heavily now. Right, so what I remember on this one is that there was golden crosses, on the 12 hourly. It's a very immature chart currently, so we don't have anything else, any longer time frame to go by other than that. So yeah, I mean, it looked bullish at this point. It had already done. I mean, that wick was quite telling anyway. That wick was very suspicious and dodgy, and the fact that we have a wick like that kind of is a bit of a warning sign that actually that something's not quite right with this. But that aside, it looked okay once we had this. Obviously we'll have had it on the smaller time frames. Where we are right now, we're basically coming down to the 12 hourly bottom of the Bollinger Band level there, which is also the green 50 exponential moving average, so that should offer some support. Let me just get that number again. So that would be at the levels of 49.5 cent. Let's go to the daily, see what that has to offer us. So we're being supported on the, what's that, that pink one, 21 EMA actually, so that should hold around that level. That's a decent support historically for most coins to be supported around, but if that does break down, I'd probably say we're looking to around this level here, 43 to 44 cent. That's probably where I'd expect to see it get supported. But we have had some really big moves. I mean, we started down here not ever so long ago, so if we did come down to there, we're still pretty much almost 100% up. It'll be close to 100, it'll be about 90% up from this low here. So we'll have to see how it reacts to that level there. It's still moving up ever so slightly, that green 50, but personally, you know, again, look at these wicks at the top, and this one especially, but also this one and this one, they're quite big, so it's telling us that rejections are heavy throughout this, and maybe a consolidation needs to play out before we can decide. I don't know if there's anything that I don't know about on this coin, you know, why this happened in the first place. I don't know anything about the fundamentals of it, I don't know actually anything about it whatsoever, but what I can tell you now is that I don't like the look of it. It's definitely wanting to come down, and considering we had these large wicks on there, it's basically saying that there was a lot of pressure for it to be sold at any level above this one, at least here, that 60 cent level. But to be honest with you, I think even at 60 cent, we could probably say that this candle body here, which is just above 41 cent, we could come back down to there before we start to see a reaction, because that's just going by this wick specifically, and a lot of this looks like FOMO in a way, pushing it up. We've got a negative cross now on the MACD, and the volume is pretty low. In fact, we've got higher reds volume than we had throughout the start of this level here, so it doesn't look good. It looks like something you want to stay away from. Right, let's have a look at well, if you want to have what's this, RLC. I assume this is what you want me to look at. We'll have a peep at this one then. So Tomo Chain, just for the record, I'd stay away from that one. Even if we are going bullish on Bitcoin, I'd stay away from it. Oh God, what am I looking at here? Well, I mean, this I can't really look at really. It's not old enough to make, you know, this is still drinking baby formula, this thing. I can't really look at this. I mean, there's nothing really to go by. All I can tell you is that it's a bearish chart from what I've got hold of. I can't really say anything else about it. There's nothing bullish about it. I'm sorry about that. I can't really look at that. It's just not anything to look at. Sorry. I apologise for that. Right, so let's have a look at Ren. We'll get the Ren's a new chart on Tether. We'll have a look at versing Bitcoin. We've been looking at this for Jesus for a while, haven't we? Jesus, we've been looking at this one for a while. Yeah, and we've got my little crude red lines here of support level. So I was this is ages ago we looked at this, and I was thinking that it's likely to come down to revisit this 400 Satoshis level. It looks like it wants to do that now, but looking at it now, actually, it's probably going to be hitting that 400 Sats level. But the 400 Sats might not hold, in fact, because all indicators don't look bullish at all. They actually look bearish. We could find a bounce from the 400 Sats level. There's no reason why we wouldn't find a bounce, because we got a significant bounce from it on this occasion. It's 400 Sats, a specific thing around this level. It's not really, no. 330 and 300, so the first opportunity for a bounce is going to be 400, but given the state of the moving averages, unless we get that bounce, it's not likely to reverse. If we do have a bounce similar to the one we had here, we might get that cross. And in fact, you can see that last time we did have that bounce, we did get a cross here, conversion over baseline at this level here, and then you can see how this often plays out quite well. We got a continuation from that cross there. So if you played that cross there, you would do very well. The idea behind these crosses is that you buy them or you sell them depending on which way they cross. We had the cross there, so you could have continued this all the way up, and basically hopefully for a reversal, but unfortunately we didn't get that, and the cross then took place on a negative slope here. So it's not the best thing to play because you often lose out on some of these moves. So we had the buy signal here on this one, so you might have missed this candle, but you definitely shouldn't have missed this one. So you could have bought it at this level, 510 sats, and you would have sold it, when the cross took place in the opposing way. So that would have been around this level at 650 sats. So obviously you missed out here, and you'd miss out here, but you'd still have profit by using that. That's one of the reasons I like this indicator, because it often shows that we don't have that cross anywhere near coming here. So you could wing it, and again, I'm not a financial advisor, so it's not financial advice, but you could wing it and try to hope for a bounce at this level. And if you did get a bounce, it might force this cross into play. A cross taking place underneath the Itchy cloud hopefully will then continue through it, and maybe there'll be a reversal at that point. But it's still, even though our target is being hit there at 400 sats that we've had that target for a while, since we broke down from here, I think. So even though that looks like it's on the cards, it's not really something that I don't think I'm going to bother playing. But it's a significant level previously for a bounce, but it might not hold this time, but it could do. Like I say, it's 50-50. Who knows? Nobody knows. Nobody knows what's going on in this market. Alright, I'm going to have a quick sip of tea. Oh Jesus, I don't have a Bitcoin SV isn't on Binance, so I can't really look at it, but what I can say is that whatever it is doing, it doesn't really mean anything, because from what you were telling me on Telegram and from what I understand is that come the 1st of January, Craig Wright's going to have maybe access to the keys to access all those Bitcoins, and whatever happens at that point is you can't account for that. It's going to be either a massive pump or a massive dump for either Bitcoin or Bitcoin SV. So it's a gamble. Yeah, it's a gamble. Who knows what's going to happen with that one? There's no point in me looking at it, to be honest. I imagine it's doing well at the moment, though. If we've got coins like Bitcoin Cash and Ethereum pumping, I imagine that SV is going to pump with those. It's a top cap coin. It's in the same league in a way as those guys. So I expect it to do pretty much as well as those guys at the moment, but we can't account for this craziness that's about to ensue. Right, anybody else want me to look at anything else specifically? Otherwise I'm just going to look at boring old XRP, because like I say, I do have some involved in that, and this guy too. In fact, let's look at Bitcoin on a lower time frame. Alright, so this looks interesting now on the 4-hourly. Okay, so if we can hold above this level that we're at right now, we could potentially have a cross incoming, which would suggest bullish movements. Hang on, what am I reading here? Can't wait to jump back into Matic at the bottom. Sit and wait. Yeah, that's one way to do it, definitely. You can sit and wait all you like, but why sit and wait in Matic when you could essentially be stacking Satoshis, by investing in a top cap coin like BNB, Ethereum, or Bitcoin, for instance. If Matic wants to go down while the others go up, there's not much point in holding Matic. You know what I mean? Anyway, so what I was saying about Bitcoin is, yeah, if we were to continue with this move now, even at the price action that we're at right this second, at this direction, at this, we would be looking to form a golden cross, perhaps on the 4-hourly, by, what date is that? Is that the 1st? Oh my god, that would be quick. 1st of January. if we were to hold at this level, that would be the first real sign of reversal to me. So actually, when we look back at these, because you've got to balance this out, we've got a converging baseline cross there. We're out of the descending trend. Within a week, we could potentially have a golden cross on a 4-hourly chart. It's actually looking pretty good to me now. Yeah, it's actually looking pretty good. I know it's only a golden cross on the 4-hourly, but with Bitcoin, that means a lot more than most coins. And it means a lot for most assets and coins anyway. But for Bitcoin, there's definitely going to be a lot of bots and algorithms that pick up on that and will want to pump it further. You get a golden cross on a 4-hourly, it's going to move on to a 6-hourly, eventually move on to a 12-hourly. With the speed of this 200 EMA incoming. Will bring us down quite will bring the option of a golden cross more likely on a 12-hourly. These are very crude, by the way. Time frames are not going to be my strong point, not because my lines are pretty bad, but just because anything can happen during this time period. Golden cross 12-hourly, in the price range that we're at right now, or just above, would happen by the end of January. So it would be safe to assume that not long after that, there would be likely a golden cross on the daily, which is the main one. You get that on the daily, then you're basically bullish, or you should be bullish. With Bitcoin, you're most likely going to be bullish at that point. So we're talking, the way it's going right now. We could look at these things that we've just spoken about as likely indicators that the bottom's in. It doesn't mean it's definitely going to happen, because a lot of things we're talking about haven't yet happened, but they look like they could happen. So if all those things start to kick in, so we get a 4-hourly golden cross, then you get a 12-hourly golden cross, you're likely to be getting a daily golden cross, and that would be some point maybe mid to late February, and then we would basically go bullish again at that point. So that's how I'm seeing this play out at the moment, provided we don't dump again and go back into this descending trend and stay beneath it. But we've been waiting for this to happen all this time. We finally broke out of it now, and might just be coincidence, but we broke out of it and we've actually got this conversion baseline cross. So it does, to me, look like there might be something to it, perhaps. But again, you're right, Jesus, if you're referring to the fact that the chart looks bearish, it does. It looks really, really bearish. We're splitting hairs here, but then you have to split hairs, don't you? We are basically massively bearish. We have a death cross. There is no golden cross at the moment. We've only got death crosses, so you're right. It's definitely, it's definitely a bearish chart. But trends do end, and I've been accused of being a perma bear, because the trend has been down for so long. That's all I really got to speak about, really. You can't be bullish with a chart like this. I mean, you have to be bearish. You've got to tell it how it is. So yeah, I've been accused of being a perma bear throughout this whole time. I've basically been bearish since it broke down from 11,200. That's where I decided, my mind was made up around that level, that we're going to continue with this downwards trend. And wow, I kind of did say that this would be the first opportunity for a bottom, this 6,600. I didn't anticipate a giant big candle like that. We've got one all the same, and there is a chance that this is the similar move to this one, because when this one got created, everyone got very excited, hence why we broke out the descending trend, but we did turn to a support level rather than a resistance level, and then we broke down beneath it. This could be seen as the same kind of move as that one, but the difference being that we're kind of not being supported on it. We're actually looking like we want to make a higher high, a local high. That would be. We've definitely got some higher lows, which is it's something to go by, but it's the very, very early stages of what could be a reversal. But again, you're right, it's bearish, isn't it? No, the whole thing's bearish. Death cross, moving averages, everything about it's bearish. The only thing I'm going by is the fact that we're out of the descending trend and we're not using it as support, and we've got higher lows and we've got a conversion baseline cross, and we do have that, from what I just saw here, we do have that golden cross that's likely to happen quite soon on the 4 hourly. Let's just go down to and this is silly. I wouldn't ever suggest do this. But yeah, I mean, I don't even know I did that. That's silly. I'm not even going to do that. But yeah, we do have golden crosses below 4 hours, but 4 hours would be the very smallest you'd ever expect to see a golden cross have any kind of significance or continuation. Right, so on the daily, the MACD is beginning to make its way to the 0 point. So we're going to start to be in bullish territory quite soon, unless there's a significant dump. So yeah, Bitcoin's looking very good. No reason why it should dump right now. Like I say, we've got to wait to see. We've already broken above the 34 EMA, which is what we were struggling to do this week. It's all about these levels here, this 7,600 area. Waves, yeah, I'll have a look at waves. Yeah, waves has kind of been on my radar for a little while. Well, I say a little while, for quite a while actually, because I remember it did a huge, massive move, and then no continuation from that move, and then it's just been going down and down and down and down and down. Yeah, I remember it. I remember this happening, and that put it on my radar because I was like, "What was that?" That was just a really bizarre move, and then just went down ever, more and more and more and more and more. But it's on my favourites list, so I do always see the price of it. Not that I ever really look into it, but it's been doing very, very well. What is this? Down from this level to here, 100%, 100% increase. I don't know anything about the coin itself. I don't know anything about it whatsoever. But 100% move is 100% move, and I can't really account for why that happened. Oh, look at that wick. See, that scares me just to see that. So if you counted that wick, you're 300%. So this looks like manipulation from somebody who knows more than we do. This here was some form of strange, weird thing going on here. I don't know what that was or why that happened, but I remember it happening and thinking, whoa, that was weird, and then seeing all this price go down, 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 and thinking, god damn it, I'm glad I didn't get involved in that. But this here, that's really weird. I can't explain it, but what I can say is that we're having a lot of rejection wicks from this level here that we're at right now. We're just coming back down to test this level here where all these rejections were taking place. So that's 97 cent. If that 97 cent breaks down and we get down below these levels here, from these wicks around here, so 82 cent, I'd say that actually this probably won't get follow through. This will probably end up consolidating and then going down significantly actually. The whole thing looks really strange to me, and I don't like the look of it. It would have been great, obviously we can always say this with all coins, that it would be great to have been involved in it at this level here, but I think the only person that got involved here was the person that created it, and that would be created the move, and they're the only ones who have benefited from it. And right now I think what's happening is that people's FOMO, people's excitement of seeing some of these moves, I think all their money is slowly being drained out of them, and it will continue to be drained out of them for the longer they hold on to this coin. I'm not really feeling this coin at all. It just looks so strange. It looks just odd. The chart is unusually bearish anyway, and this move here is just something not right about it. It's one of those coins that you just don't like the look of, and I just don't like the look of it. It's a bearish chart with some weird things going on in it, but there's nothing bullish about it. Let's have a look at a smaller time frame. I imagine the indicators on this will have been forced by these strange moves. So yeah, we got a golden cross on the 4 hourly. Yeah, that's fine. And the moving averages, and they all look okay, obviously, because we've had a big move here. So I think the only way to look at this would be on a larger time frame, like a daily, and the daily looks weird, so I wouldn't touch it, I'm afraid. Sorry about that one. What else are we looking at then? Shall we have a peep at BAT? Yeah, I noticed BAT's been doing quite well. BAT's a coin that I probably would trust, given what it actually is. You know, I'd say it's not likely to be one of those that's going to be massively manipulated by anyone specifically. You know, it's not a dodgy token. So yeah, we came down to this level, and we've seen this a few times with a few coins. So historical lows been revisited several times, and that would be down here. Basically, 15 cent got touched quite a few times here. 15 cent got touched here. So it's the same really as most altcoins. They're having their historical lows touched, and they're bouncing significantly from them. So all of these, Bitcoin, Ethereum, loads of coins are all having the same kind of pattern, and just some are bouncing higher than most. In fact, you could say this with Matic. Matic did exactly this. It hit a certain low point. In fact, you could the charts are almost identical when you look at it in that respect. From these recent moves, the big dump that took place caused a big bounce for all these altcoins, most of them anyway, and some are bouncing harder than others. And this one's doing a really good bounce. Now we're at the top of the Bollinger Band on the daily here. We're also above the green 50, which is good. We do have a bearish setup still, though. When we're looking at all these indicators, we're beneath the 0 point. Volume's pretty good. We're above a lot of the moving averages, including the green 50. So there is a chance that we have continuation of this. But I think from the move that we've had right now, it looks quite stretched. So perhaps maybe it'll cool off for a little while. Before maybe trying to make another move up. But again, it's a bearish chart still. I mean, it's very bearish. So it's the same deal with Bitcoin. You know, it's what I was saying. As excited as we want to be on something like this, we can't get that excited. We're trying to really basically get involved before anything's confirmed. I think none of these moves have been confirmed. We could be just bouncing from this. This could just be a giant bounce for the market, considering it hit quite a significant low across the board. Bitcoin hit a low. All these coins all hit a low. So what we could be doing, this could just be a giant bounce for everybody at the in the midst of a bear trend, which is what really is going on. This is a bear trend. It's not changed at the moment. Nothing's changed. We're just finding bounces. You could say that easily. There's nothing that has been actually confirmed yet with Bitcoin, which would mean that with BAT and all these other coins, nothing is also confirmed either. Excuse me. And when you look at it, you know, from a distance, you can still see how incredibly bearish everything is, and all these indicators here are bearish. We're splitting hairs again when we're hoping for continuation. I think what I'd be looking to do pretty much relatively soon would be to take profit on some of my coins like BNB and Ethereum, and see, you know, how Bitcoin reacts to this level here, or just above it, just below it. Because this is the first opportunity for it to tell us that there's going to be a higher high created. A true higher high is going to have to be at this level here. It's going to have to break all the way up above there for us to really go, right, now it's time. But realistically, that's not likely to happen anytime soon. We're going to have to try and get involved a little earlier. So BAT, alongside all the others, is actually looking very, very good. But it's still basically following the Bitcoin's health. Bitcoin is the dictator of the market. So, right, what else are we going to look at then? Carver. Never heard of Carver before. Is it on here? Yes, it is. Right, well that's not very useful. So it's not very old, is it? But, you know, as far as the chart's concerned, it looks bullish, but it's not old at all. It came out just over a month ago, so I can't really talk about this one. There's nothing to go by. Is this an IEO or something? I've got no idea what it is. Yeah, sorry, I can't help you on that one. I've got no idea. I need a chart which is at least it's got to be at least a year old, really, for me to have a decent handle on it. Because my main way of trading is through moving averages, and moving averages need time, and if they don't have time, they're not reliable in any way at all. So I can't really go by it. The older the chart, the better, the more reliable for my style of trading. So XRP then, so let's have a peep at XRP. So I mean, again, with XRP, it's the same as all these other coins. It hit a pretty much a significant low, and it's bouncing from there. Now, I decided to buy XRP mainly because it was very, very low, and you know, it'd be rude not to buy it. So I've bought it, but I don't expect enormous things out of XRP. It's a bit of pretty much a long-term thing for me. I'll hold on to these bags for a couple of years, and I'll do some leverage trading on it, just to accumulate some more, but I don't expect big things from it. I'd be very happy if we got to $1.50 in 2 years. I'd be very happy with that. There's no reason why it would get that high, but historically, you know, what was it, $3.50 at its all-time high? So it could quite easily, you know, see its all-time high again, but it's been such an underperformer that I don't like the look of it generally. I just thought I'd buy a load of it when it was this low, because I didn't really see it going much lower than around about my lowest target for XRP was 16 cent. I kind of readjusted that to think that perhaps maybe it could hit as low as 14 cent, if Bitcoin decides to fall in on itself and go back into this level again around 6,600, which it could do. But even so, buying down at these levels for any of these coins is going to pay back well, even if you just buy into HODL for the long term. I'm talking a year to 2 years. So you could buy right at this minute today, and you're almost certainly going to find yourself in profit in 2 years' time. But that's my way of thinking with XRP. I do want to trade a bit more significantly rather than just hold on to coins that are cheap. So what are you saying? Bitcoin just pumps, yeah? Yeah, it's pumping, it's pumping. Let's have a look at it on an hourly just to see what levels we're hitting now. So I mean, yeah, we're chipping away, aren't we, with Bitcoin? We're chipping away, but we're not reaching the levels that I'm talking about yet. Look at the size of this rejection here. This was a big one. This is a pretty nasty rejection here. We're likely to see something similar to that again here. It's at that level here, this green 50 or the top of this itchy cloud is all converging around this level for Bitcoin, and this is what's going to decide where the market's going to go. So it has to get up basically another $100 before we all decide whether to, you know, high five each other and you know, smoke a cigar or whatever it is that you want to do. Personally, until we break above this level, it's not really worth getting excited. And when I'm talking about breaking above it, I'm talking about closing above it with a candle body. Like how I got excited, you know, when we eventually got this one here, we closed above a descending trend which we've been stuck under for such a long time. So for me, that was a significant event, and I wanted to see continuation of that move. At the moment, we've not had real continuation because the current price action is still lower than that candle body when it closed. So, you know, we could talk about being rejected anywhere from this candle body here at 7,500 to 7,540 or 50, which is kind of, you know, yeah, you know, it's like there's not much to it. This area here is likely to get rejection, but if it doesn't and we get daily candle closes above this area, then we can really start to get a bit more excited and expect to get up to this level before a rejection, and when we get above there, then we're in business really. Yeah, RLC is 2 years old. Yeah, alright, okay, well let's have a look, see if we can find it on its sats then, shall we? Sorry about this. If it's a coin I've never looked at, I write it off quite quickly, so sorry about that. Oh yeah, here we go. A little bit more time to it. Yeah. Oh yeah. My apologies. Thanks for telling me. Right. Okay. Right. I might need a bit of educating on this, but what the hell is this coin? What does it do? Because This is weird. I've not seen anything like this before. Is it? How low cap is this coin? Not much volume in it at all. So, even though, well, I mean, it's bearish still, it's not horrendously bearish. It's not, but it's not bullish at all. It's weird. In fact, this is so weird. We're having little waves of mini pumps. It looks like it should have been. It looks like it wants to have been accumulating throughout the last year, but it's just basically making new lows. Yeah, we got golden crosses, but the golden cross, because the volume is so low, every time you get a cross, you're shortly followed by a death cross. I've never seen so many things like this before. So we have a golden cross here, and then what? How long do you have to wait for a death cross to take place? About 2.5 months. Yeah, have golden cross and then a death cross 2.5 months later. And this looks like it wants to do the same thing. Yeah. I wouldn't touch this one, I'm afraid. No, it is following some form of pattern, but it's just a bearish pattern, really. How bizarre! I've never seen anything look so strange. Really, this is like, yeah, I wouldn't touch it. One thing you could say is that, given the fact that we like to make golden crosses several times in the year, and death crosses several times in the year, you know, we're coming out of this at the moment. We're about to have this death cross definitely, and then you could say that, all right, well, you know, given the way that this is moving, which looks like it's at least following some form of cycle, that you could anticipate that it's likely to have a golden cross, but you know, after that golden cross has actually taken place. You know, you've got like, what I'd say, a few weeks before it starts to go bearish again. It's a bizarre looking coin. I don't like the look of it at all. I'm really sorry about that. But yeah, it looks like we're about to start a new bear cycle, and inevitably, I would say we're likely to make a new low again. And I couldn't tell you where that low would be, because we've only just recently created a new low of this level here, which I think that will be hit again. So we'll see that level there, and we'll make lower lows from that one, and then we'll just wait for another one of these weird waves to happen. But it's, you know, there's so many coins out there for you to trade. I wouldn't want to trade this one. No, sorry about that, mate. I wish it could be more useful for you. It's bizarre looking thing. ETC. Right, let's have a look at ETC for you. And then I think I might have to call it a day. ETC was doing some big moves. There's a bloke on my Telegram, I don't know if he's watching now. He's a good lad, and he was telling us all about this. And saying, "Oh, this coin's under the radar. This is the one that's going to make it." And I'm like, I couldn't see it personally. And then, what do you know? It did. What was this? It was more than a 10% move, wasn't it? It was a big one. Whoa! Really, a lot more. 44% move. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Like I say, he's a fundamentals guy, and that just goes to show, if you do your homework, it does pay off. So yeah. So ETC, yeah, what we're doing from here. So it's very strong. We're above the green 50, getting rejected close to the 200. That's great. I bet we're looking for some decent crossing action on the lower time frames. Not so much on the 12 hourly, although we have broken above the 200, and we've just found support on there for the first time this last 12 hours. Golden cross on the 4 hourly, so that's looking pretty good. In fact, that golden cross has definitely been played out by the bots and algorithms, because look, the second that happened, we had this huge move there, a giant move from that golden cross. So the golden cross happened, and we had a 12.5% move. So that just goes to show how robots like to do these things. That you know, it's just a robot. Do you know what I mean? It is doing its thing. But what I would say is that it's probably going to have a bit of consolidation after that. I wouldn't want to trade this at this moment in time, but what it has shown to me is that it probably is a decent coin. You know, it's probably that lad Pepe from my Telegram group. He was onto something, and he was saying that right down here at its bottom. He was saying buy it. And he was saying that right at its bottom. and that there's something likely to happen to this coin in the next in the beginning of the new year. But like I say, I don't know much about fundamentals, but he seems to know his thing. He should have his own channel, in all fairness, because he does seem to know what he's talking about. He probably does have his own channel. He's just not told me about it. But yeah, he was onto this one before. So from what I understand, and this is, like I say, a bit of Chinese whispers, there's something going on in the new year with the project, like an upgrade of some form, and I think this might have been bought on the back of that, because people are anticipating that there is going to be something take place in the new year. Now, it's one of those things that's buy the rumour, sell the news type of thing. I can imagine that this will dump after that event, but by the time it dumps, it will have forged its way into the TA. The TA will have started to kick in a bit more. So we do have that golden cross on the 4-hourly. On the 12-hourly, we've not yet had that happen, but we probably will do, at the in the first week or so of January. So we're looking at this level here. So the first to the second week of January, if we can hold this price. So Bitcoin's having a bit of a move now. Let's just watch this one play out, just for fun, shall we? If you want to go on my Telegram group, the best way to do it, find me on Instagram. Not Instagram. Jesus, I'm not on that. Find me on Twitter. Just CryptoClick on Twitter. It's a pinned tweet. There's a link there, just so you can join my Telegram group. It's not massive, just because I don't promote it massively. I don't promote it at all. It's just on my Twitter, and my Twitter is pretty much non-existent. So go to Twitter, find me on there. You'll find the link on the pinned tweet. Right, so here we go. So we're looking to make this level then tonight, aren't we? And see if we can make it. Oh, I wanted to log off now, to be honest with you. I wanted to call this this live stream a day. But it looks like it's very, very keen to push up to this level. I might have to log off, I'm afraid, guys, because I've got longs on all of these at the moment. XRP, Ethereum, Binance coin, and XRP. So I'm looking to perhaps close them any minute, to be honest with you, because I do expect a bit of a pullback. But I appreciate you all for joining me, and I'll do this perhaps maybe twice a week or so. But yeah, like I say, I'm gonna have to log out now, I'm afraid, because I do want to cash in on these things now, because I don't think we're gonna make it above this level. But again, I'm not a financial advisor. It's not financial advice. I'm just letting you know what I'm looking to do, and I think we are about to hit the top and find a rejection. Just because I'm not going to be on the live stream, so just in case you want to know what I am expecting, I'm expecting a fat spiky wick to go above this level here, maybe overshoot to a certain level, and then basically come back down again and see something like this. This could be considered to be an attempt to reverse if it gets much higher than, and close above this level here. It needs to close above 7,600 or higher on a daily candle body. It needs to close above that level for us to then think about a continuation and perhaps a reversal. If it fails to get above that level or close a daily above that level, then I think we'll consolidate for a few days again before we at least try it again, or we basically come straight back down again. Anyway, I'm going to leave it with you there. Thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate you joining me, and yeah, take it easy. Have a good one.